Hi, welcome to our McKinney Vento training at ICI Imagine. For your information, our Behavioral Health Coordinator, Amanda Bell, is also our Homeless Liaison. First, a little bit about what McKinney Vento is. The McKinney Vento Act is a federal law that was designed to increase the school enrollment, attendance, and success of children and youth who lack a fixed, regular, and adequate nighttime residence. This federal law was created so that states, districts, and charter schools must develop, review, and revise policies to remove barriers to the school enrollment and retention of homeless children and youth. McKinney Vento defines enrollment as attending classes and participating fully in all school activities. The McKinney Vento Act also supersedes any state or local law or practice when there is a conflict. The McKinney Vento Act was reauthorized through ESSA, Every Student Succeeds, on December 10th in 2015. So what is McKinney Vento? Well, under McKinney Vento, the definition of homeless, or the term homeless children and youth, means that individuals who lack a fixed, regular, and adequate nighttime residence, and all of these can include the following situations. Students under McKinney Vento could be living with a friend or relative because they lost their housing. They could be staying long-term stays in hotels or motels or even short-term. They can be living in an emergency or transitional shelter for domestic violence, or just staying in substandard housing. And substandard housing is really situationally based. If a house does not have running water, if it does not have electricity, if it does not have heat in the winter, these things can indicate a substandard housing situation. For students that are living in a car or a public place or abandoned building or bus station, if they are in transition and awaiting a foster care placement, or it could be living in a campground or inadequate trailer home. The last few situations, a child could be abandoned in a hospital or living in a runaway or homeless youth shelter. I know these situations can seem heavy, and yet, as we go through the school year, sometimes we do find students that end up in any one of these. And if that happens, it's important to stay aware. So why is the McKinney Vento Act important? Ultimately, the impacts of homelessness on children and youth can be pretty dire. There is a higher incidence of acute chronic illness, depression, and anxiety. Students experiencing homelessness in early childhood is also associated with poor classroom engagement and poor social skills, especially in early elementary school. The achievement gaps between homeless and low-income elementary students tend to persist and may even worsen over time. And a youth who experiences homelessness is 87% more likely to drop out of school. These are some of the potential signs of homelessness. So as we look at social and behavioral concerns, if you notice that a student has a marked change in behavior, is struggling with attention span, all of a sudden develops poor self-esteem or extreme shyness, seems unwilling to form relationships with peers and teachers, has difficulty socializing at recess or lunch periods, or seems to have a difficult time trusting people. These are some of the signs, and I know that they can go along with many other situations. However, they are important to watch out for. A few more potential signs to watch out for: increased aggression, students that seem wise beyond their years, overly protective parents, students again that change behavior, developmental delays, fear of abandonment, school phobia, students that are just afraid to leave their parents, and then anxiety, especially during the school day. Lastly, and these are more important because all of the previously mentioned symptoms simply by themselves don't necessarily mean much. But if you hear certain things like, we've moved around a lot, our address is new, I can't remember it, we're staying with relatives until we get settled, We are living with friends. We are living in a camper. All of those things, in addition to the other signs, would absolutely create a situation where we would want to report those things to our homeless liaison, Amanda Bell. So ultimately, if you suspect a McKinney Vento or homeless situation at IC Imagine, please email Amanda Bell at amandabell@icimagine.org. It is the liaison's job to contact the family and determine if McKinney Vento criteria is met. Thank you all so much for joining me on this short training video to understand McKinney Vento or homelessness with our students here at IC Imagine. More information and resources can be found at the Homeless Education page for NCDPI.